Aloha and welcome to Story Time with me, Marcus! In this video, we're going to read The Hungry Hippopotamus, written by Marcus Aurelius. One day, like all other days, the sun rose above the horizon and began lighting up the sky. Feeling the heat from the sun's rays, a big hippopotamus stretches her legs and opens her mouth really wide. After stretching, the hippopotamus feels her stomach grumble and begins searching for food. Seeing a large pool of water, the hippopotamus runs over to it and jumps into the water. After drinking some water, the hippopotamus sees a large object floating on the surface. Looking at the object intently, the hippopotamus watches the object blink. Realizing that the object is really an alligator, the hippopotamus immediately swims over to it and says, "Hey, crocodile! Leave my pond or else you will have to pay the consequences of staying!" Unable to believe that the hippopotamus called him a crocodile, the alligator says, "Crocodile? I am an alligator and I will swim wherever I want to." Annoyed that the alligator isn't leaving, the hippopotamus says, "I don't care what you are, I want you to leave." Not afraid of the hippopotamus, the alligator says, "Well, I don't want to leave. I want to stay and swim here." Glaring at the alligator, the hippopotamus says, "Okay then, I warned you, and now you must pay the consequence." Then the hippopotamus begins swimming towards the alligator. Watching the hippopotamus swim towards him, the alligator sarcastically says, "Oh, I am so scared." "Wow, you should be," a voice says from behind the alligator. Turning around, the alligator looks at the creature that spoke, and becoming full of fear, the alligator says, The Loch Ness Monster!" The alligator immediately begins swimming away. Seeing the Loch Ness Monster swimming towards her, the hippopotamus turns around and begins swimming away as fast as she can, even though she is unsure if she can outswim the Loch Ness Monster. However, she knows that as long as she reaches dry ground, she will be safe. Unsure if she can outswim the Loch Ness Monster, the hippopotamus takes a deep breath and dives to the bottom of the water. Right as the hippopotamus dives down, the Loch Ness Monster closes its mouth over the spot where the hippopotamus just was. Pushing off the bottom of the lake, the hippopotamus zooms forward towards the dry land. Feeling her feet touch the ground, the hippopotamus begins to feel as if she might escape the Loch Ness Monster. That is, until her foot gets caught under a root sticking out. Pulling her foot free, the hippopotamus turns around and looks at the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster begins salivating at the thought of eating her. Not wanting to become food for the Loch Ness Monster, the hippopotamus begins backing up. Licking its lips, the Loch Ness Monster says, "Any last words before I eat you?" Continuing to walk backwards, the hippopotamus says, "You don't want to eat me because if you do, I will give you indigestion." Smiling, the Loch Ness Monster says, "I hope you do, because I like having indigestion." "Really? That's a strange thing to like." "What can I say? I am a strange creature, but now it is time for me to eat you." Reaching the edge of the water, the Loch Ness Monster stretches out its neck and attempts to bite the hippopotamus. Unable to bite the hippopotamus, the Loch Ness Monster says, "Hey, come back here so I can eat you." Continuing to walk away, the hippopotamus says, "I don't think that's a good idea." "Will you come back if I say please?" the Loch Ness Monster asks. "As long as you are in the water, I won't come back." Lowering its head, the Loch Ness Monster swims away, sad that it didn't get food. Happy that she escaped the Loch Ness Monster, the hippopotamus begins walking around searching for a different pool of water. After walking around for a while, the hippopotamus hasn't found any food and is still hungry. Seeing a pool of water and a unicorn walking over to it, the hippopotamus runs over and enters the water. Splashing water everywhere, the hippopotamus says, "This is my water now, unicorn! Go and find your own water somewhere else!" Walking in the water, the hippopotamus searches around the entire lake, but doesn't find any food to eat. Sad that there is no food to eat, the hippopotamus leaves the water and begins searching for food elsewhere. The hippopotamus, seeing a different pool of water and a gorilla walking over to it, runs over, jumps into the water, and says, "This is my pool of water now! Go somewhere else if you want to drink any water!" Already upset he had to pay the honey badger $2, the gorilla doesn't want to be pushed away from the water, but he also doesn't want to fight a hippopotamus. "I hope a water dragon shows up and eats you," the gorilla says. Showing his teeth to the hippopotamus, the gorilla growls and walks away. After snorting at the gorilla, the hippopotamus swims away. Swimming around, the hippopotamus laughs at the thought of a water dragon showing up. The hippopotamus doesn't believe there is such a thing as a water dragon. That is, until a shadow passes over her. Looking up into the sky, the hippopotamus sees a big blue dragon flying around. Worried that the blue dragon might see her and try to eat her, the hippopotamus takes a deep breath and swims to the bottom of the lake. Unable to keep holding her breath, the hippopotamus breathes out a little bit and a few bubbles form and rise to the top of the water. Seeing bubbles appear on the surface of the water, the blue dragon lands at the edge of the water and waits for the hippopotamus to surface and take a breath. The blue dragon didn't have to wait long until she could see the hippopotamus. Thinking about eating the hippopotamus, the dragon begins to salivate. Licking her lips, the dragon looks at the hippopotamus and says, "Any last words before I eat you?" Staring into the dragon's eyes, the hippopotamus says, "Yeah, if you want to eat me, you're gonna have to defeat me in a life and death duel!" Laughing at the thought of dueling a hippopotamus, the blue dragon says, "Do you really think you can defeat me? I am a dragon, and you are a hippopotamus!" Without saying anything else, the hippopotamus begins running towards the blue dragon. Not afraid of the hippopotamus, the blue dragon plans on waiting for it to come to her. Excited to roast and eat the hippopotamus, the dragon can't stop salivating. That is, until the hippopotamus stops and roars very loud. Impressed with the hippopotamus's roar, the dragon roars back just as loud. Then, the blue dragon opens her mouth and prepares to spew out a blast of flame and roast the hippopotamus. Suddenly, the blue dragon pauses when she sees a small animal running towards them. The small animal stops at the edge of the water and, looking at the hippopotamus, says, "Hey, your roar woke me up, so now you owe me money!" Not wanting to pay the honey badger, the blue dragon quickly flies away. Confused as to what is happening, the hippopotamus looks at the honey badger and says, "What? I don't owe you money!" The honey badger glares at the hippopotamus and says, "Yes, you do! So either pay me money, or you can pay the consequences!" Wondering what the consequences are, the hippopotamus realizes that the dragon flew away when the honey badger demanded money. The hippopotamus also realizes that she has to pay the honey badger. Not wanting to pay the consequences, the hippopotamus pulls out her wallet. Grabbing $1, the hippopotamus gives it to the honey badger. The honey badger looks at the dollar and says, "More!" Sighing, the hippopotamus grabs another dollar and gives it to the honey badger. Looking at the $2, the honey badger says, "Thank you," and walks away. Not sure what just happened, the hippopotamus walks back into the water. Thinking that she should have fought the honey badger rather than paid it, the hippopotamus searches around the water for food but doesn't find any. Leaving the pool of water, the hippopotamus walks around the forest and begins searching for food. Getting lost in the forest, the hippopotamus finds a pool of water and runs over to it. Looking at the bottom of the lake, the hippopotamus sees a whole bunch of gems, jewels, and gold coins. Wondering if she can eat them, the hippopotamus prepares to step into the water, but before she does, she hears, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." Looking around, the hippopotamus sees a black and a white animal sitting on a stump nearby. Walking over to the animal, the hippopotamus says, "Why not? And what kind of animal are you?" The panda walks closer to the hippopotamus and says, "Because I watched a mermaid drown a unicorn when it tried to take some of the gems. And I am a panda. What kind of animal are you?" "I am a hippopotamus, and I am not afraid of a mermaid," the hippopotamus says. "You might not be afraid of the mermaid, but I am. Good luck with your life," the panda says, then walks away. After watching the panda walk away, the hippopotamus looks at the gems and coins again and, deciding not to fight a mermaid for them, walks away. Still hungry, the hippopotamus continues searching for food in the forest. Wondering if she is going to starve to death before she finds food, the hippopotamus soon sees something orange growing in the distance. Thinking she knows what it is, the hippopotamus runs over to the plant. Seeing a large orange pumpkin growing, the hippopotamus is very excited and starts drooling at the thought of eating it. Running over to the pumpkin, the hippopotamus is about to eat it when she hears someone say, "I wouldn't eat that if I were you." Looking around, the hippopotamus sees a satyr standing nearby eating a red apple. "And why shouldn't I eat this delicious-looking pumpkin?" the hippopotamus says. The satyr takes another bite of the apple and says, "Because if you do that, then I will do this." Pulling out a hollow piece of wood, the satyr puts a chewed-up piece of apple in one end, points the wood at the hippopotamus, and blows in the other end. The spit wad flies through the air and hits the hippopotamus on the side. Not liking being hit by a spit wad, the hippopotamus looks at the satyr and says, "You shouldn't have done that." Loading another spit wad, the satyr says, "And why not?" Glaring at the satyr, the hippopotamus says, "Because I am now going to do this." The hippopotamus roars and begins running towards the satyr. Not wanting to fight the hippopotamus, the satyr drops the red apple he was eating and begins running away as fast as he can. Unable to keep up with the satyr, the hippopotamus watches it escape and stops running. Looking around the forest, the hippopotamus realizes that she is lost. Not sure where she is or how to get back to the pumpkin plant, the hippopotamus decides to continue searching for food until she hears movement nearby and sees an unknown animal smelling a rose. The hippopotamus says, "I have never seen an animal like you before. What kind of animal are you?" The animal continues smelling the rose and says, "I am a velociraptor." Turning its head away from the rose, the velociraptor says, "I like smelling the roses. They smell nice. Do you want to know what else is nice?" "What?" the hippopotamus says. "Having food walk right up to you." Before the hippopotamus could respond, another velociraptor leaps out from behind a tree. Looking at the two velociraptors, the hippopotamus says, "I am not afraid of you! You should be afraid of me!" Then the hippopotamus begins running towards the two velociraptors. Before the hippopotamus reached the velociraptors, 6 more velociraptors show up. 2 of the velociraptors run straight into the hippopotamus, trying to knock her over. With the hippopotamus still trying to fight them, 2 more velociraptors run into her. Still standing, the hippopotamus watches as all of the velociraptors run into her and knock her over. Trying to get up, the hippopotamus feels the weight of the velociraptors as they jump onto her. The velociraptor leader walks up next to the hippopotamus's neck, and after showing off his large and sharp claws, the leader says, "Do you have any last words before we eat you?" Before the hippopotamus could say anything, a voice yells out, "Charge!" The velociraptor leader, seeing the swarm of dinosaurs charge forward, says, "What? I thought those dinosaurs only charged on the grass plains, not in the forest." Not wanting to be trampled, the velociraptors jump off the hippopotamus and run away. Also not wanting to be trampled, the hippopotamus stands up and runs away, happy to still be alive. After escaping the swarm of charging dinosaurs, the hippopotamus looks around and sees a field of watermelons growing. Looking around and not seeing any animals nearby, the hippopotamus runs towards them. Eating as many watermelons as she can, the hippopotamus is happy she stumbled upon them. After filling up her belly with watermelon, the hippopotamus looks around and sees a familiar tree growing nearby. Realizing where she is, the hippopotamus knows how to get back to her pond. Happy she has a full belly and survived her adventure looking for food, the hippopotamus walks back to her pond. Walking into the cold water, the hippopotamus finds a comfortable spot in the lake, closes her eyes, and takes a nap. The end. Thanks for reading and enjoy! If this is the first story you've read from my books, then congratulations! You now have 1 gratitude point. If this isn't your first time reading my books, then congratulations! Your gratitude points have just doubled. As you continue to read my books, your gratitude points will double. Once you have over 1,000,000 gratitude points, you become a member of the Million Points of Gratitude Club. If this is the book where you now have over 1,000,000 gratitude points, then congratulations! You've just joined the Million Points of Gratitude Club! Pew, 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 pew. Woo! Pew, 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 pew. For all of this, I say congratulations! And thank you. I love you all. Thanks for watching.